welcome to the first lesson of Project Management 101. So whether you're here to explore this as a career, or maybe you're looking to learn skills that you can apply to your role, or maybe you just want to satisfy your curiosity, either way, this lesson is a perfect starting point for you. So I've designed this course to provide an introductory overview of project management by first helping you to understand what project management is and why it's important, and then you'll also understand how it applies across various industries and career paths. And then we'll also cover the potential roles within project management, the skills that are required, and then also any certifications to help elevate your career journey. And then you'll just also receive beginner-friendly tips that you can essentially begin to apply to your current projects, professionally or even personally. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about how you can define what a project is, and then you're also going to learn why it's important across various industries. And then we'll cover some examples of how it's used in real life just to help you truly understand. So make sure that you stick around because there also will be a homework assignment at the end of this lesson. All right, so let's just start with the basics and talk about what is a project. So if you talk to any project management professional, most likely they're going to refer to the definition that's provided by the PMBOK or in the PMBOK guide. So the PMBOK guide states that a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. All right, so let's just break that down into simple terms. So there are two characteristics of a project that you'll want to remember. So if there's any debate or question as to whether or not something is a project, you'll know whether or not to identify it as a project because it will meet these two unique characteristics. So one being that it's temporary. So meaning all projects are temporary. They have a defined start and end date. It's not something that's ongoing or recurring. And then the second characteristic is that a project is unique. So essentially a project is something that creates something new, whether it's a product, a service, or some specific outcome. Just think about it like this in terms of trying to identify what would be projects, right? So for instance, planning a wedding, that's a project, right? That's not something that is recurring. You're not going to have multiple weddings every single year or monthly, right? This is a temporary endeavor that has a defined start and end date, and it's something new. So this would be a project. Another example could just even be launching a new app, right? This is something that's temporary. There's a start and end date, and it's designed to create something new, which would be the app. And so as project management professionals, I think that it's also important to understand and be able to differentiate between projects and regular operations, right? Those recurring tasks that we're often assigned. It is very common as a project management professional that you're not going to just solely be managing projects. Sometimes you're also going to be assigned recurring tasks or deliverables. And so it's just important to understand the difference between them so that whenever you're asked to speak on your experience, you know what to mention in terms of which projects you worked on versus what are some of those recurring tasks or operations that you also helped with. So let's just talk about operations and what that is. Essentially, operations are those reoccurring tasks that you may be assigned. They're ongoing, they could happen on a monthly, a weekly, bi-monthly basis. But these are essentially those repetitive tasks that keep the business going. Examples of these type of operations or recurring tasks would be processing payroll or submitting time cards, or maybe you're just maintaining customer service inquiries or inventory counts, whatever that may be. If you're doing those weekly, daily, monthly, those would be considered those recurring tasks that are part of operation. So just remember, projects are about creating something new and to achieve a specific goal. And then operations are all about maintaining and improving existing systems or processes. All right, so now let's just talk about why organizations need project management professionals and why project management is so important for success. Every organization has to innovate in order to stay relevant and to be successful. So essentially, projects are how they launch new products, new services, or even expand into new markets. So for example, maybe a company wants to launch a new app, or maybe they want to implement a new sustainability program. Maybe they just want to open a new office. So without proper project management, these types of efforts could essentially fail or be delayed or just overwhelmed overall not be successful. Project managers are the individuals who help to make sure all of these different initiatives run smoothly. And so when a project manager comes in, they're the ones who's going to come up with the plan, they're the ones who's going to coordinate, and they're the ones who's going to make sure everything gets implemented successfully. Think of the project managers as the glue that's holding all of these different initiatives together to make sure that they actually come to fruition. But just know, a skilled project manager doesn't just make sure things run on track. Project managers are also skilled with identifying risks or any inefficiencies. And project managers also make sure that resources are being used appropriately. So when organizations are able to have successful projects, this essentially helps them to generate more revenue. It can also help to boost their customer satisfaction. Depending on the project, it can also help strengthen their competitiveness in their market. Project managers are so important to help make sure that organizations are meeting their goals and making sure that their goals are turning into reality. So without the best and the most effective project management, even the best ideas that organizations may have can fall apart very quickly. So later on in this course, we'll talk more about the role of a project manager and what that looks like, but this is just a general overview to help you understand. Okay, so now let's just look at a few of the top industries that have a high demand for project managers or project management professionals. First and foremost, it would be IT or information technology. And of course, this is also a popular one for a lot of my viewers and my audience. But yes, IT still has a high demand for project management professionals. So depending on which subspecialty in IT you work for, you could be managing projects that have to do with implementing cybersecurity systems, or maybe developing new apps or software. Or you could be responsible for projects that involve migrating large amounts of data into a cloud. These are just a few examples, but to help you understand. And then another industry with a high demand for project management professionals is healthcare. So if you work in healthcare, you could be tasked with projects that involve helping, the implementation of a new electronic health record system. Or maybe you're within the construction part of healthcare and you help oversee the building or, the creation of new doctors' offices or hospitals. Or maybe if you work in healthcare and let's say you work in hospital operations, you could also just help support and lead the implementation of, maybe new telemedicine services, right? There's so many different types of projects. It just depends on which subspecialty or which area you work in. And then another very popular industry is construction. So construction also has a high demand for project management professionals, especially if you have a background in construction. It can be challenging to get into, but if you do have that background or you have some way of getting into it, then it can be a very rewarding career for you. If you work in construction as a project management professional, you'll be responsible for maybe projects like overseeing the building of new residential homes or even commercial properties, depending on what type of company you work for. Or maybe as a project management professional, you're involved with infrastructure development. So just meaning the things that you see all around us when you go outside, such as roads or bridges. Or maybe you work for a construction company that does a lot of renovations. And so you help oversee the renovation projects that they manage. So those are just a few examples of construction projects. And just know all three of these industries, while they do have high demand, they also come with higher average pays. So each one, the average pay is over $100,000. So now, if I didn't mention the industry that you're interested in, just know that's just a tip of the iceberg. And I'll cover this more later on in another lesson. So to wrap up this lesson, it's just important for you to understand project management is about achieving goals. And not just achieving the goals, but achieving them efficiently and effectively. And so based on what we've talked about, this may have sparked interest or some curiosity for individuals that may be now thinking back that, hey, I do have project management experience. And so that leads me to the homework assignment for this lesson. Based on what I've covered in this lesson, I want you to think back on your current or even your previous work responsibilities or things that you've worked on. In the comments, I want you just to share a project or a task even, but something that you've worked on. And then also share what was your role in that project or that initiative. Share what was the outcome. Did something improve? Was something created? What was the outcome of that work? This should help you understand whether or not you do have project experience or maybe a lot of the work that you've been doing are just those recurring tasks or deliverables and not necessarily projects or initiatives. Either way, I want to help you to start building that understanding so that you can hopefully continue to build more experience or seek out opportunities to start gaining new experience. Either way, drop your response in the comments below so that everyone can even learn from each other, and you might find individuals who are also in the same boat as you, the same industry, and things like that. So all of that knowledge share will be beneficial for everyone. So remember, drop your comment below and you'll be surprised. You probably have more experience than you realized. All right, that's all for this lesson, and I will see you guys in lesson 2.